In between the electric whip and the one-shot and the watcher video here, it looks like it's whip day on the channel. Gotta whip this channel into shape. The wrenching whip is a pretty decent weapon overall. I would actually say that if you want just a good weapon, wrenching whip is it. Pretty much the entire deal with the wrenching whip is that it's just a whip. It's pretty much like, think of it like they saw the whip, similar to how the Impaler came out of how they created the War Spear, and what they said was, well, why don't we make a War Spear more of a traditional sort of weapon rather than relying on the gimmickry of being slow and only being able to use... Wow, cherries. Win you like $1,000 or something if you got that in a slot machine. Well, anyway, they saw like the War Spear and they're like, let's make that more of a regular weapon, and that's where like the Impaler came from, I would imagine. And then I feel like the wrenching whip here was pretty much like looking at the weird gimmickry of the proper whip, or the Valmont's whip as it eventually came to be known, and they said, well, why don't we make this more of a regular weapon? As you can see already, it's significantly faster. You're able to hit a lot quicker, you're able to hit a lot, I would say, harder if you're not hitting the critical hits compared to the Valmont's whip. And obviously the electric whip, not really a true whip as much as it has that name. I think that's just about it. Let's go Ramparts. Ramparts is cool. Get this weapon from the pirate captain, so definitely got to hit up the Fogfjord. But anyway, the big thing with this weapon is that you get great range, you get great damage, you get great range and damage, it's quick. It's just overall a good weapon. Now, it does have the whole gimmickry of wrenching victims towards you, but honestly, that doesn't really come into play at all. The only thing that the wrenching has ever really done for me, I'd say, is get the Watcher's damage field in my face much faster than I would like to be able to. And that's actually something that you see a lot in this game, where it feels like they kind of get a gimmick going with some of these weapons, and then what happens is that, like, the whole deal is you don't even get like the misplaced footing equaling a stun that you get out of like the Spartan sandals. Making me rethink how that actually works. Right. Yeah, because enemies are definitely losing their footing, but they're not getting stunned. Interesting. Well, anyway, like I was saying, this is another one of those weapons where they have like a specific gimmick you're supposed to be using, very similar to the Impaler, for example, where you're supposed to be hitting dudes against walls with that. And although you certainly can in a lot of cases, taking that strength, and although you certainly can in a lot of cases, I would say that just like quick forward strikes is more the thing that you're looking for in that weapon than like anything related to being able to hit dudes into walls. And that's the same sort of thing with the wrenching whip here. You get a... it's just a good weapon all around. And the whole ability to wrench dudes towards you, it's there. It's a part of the weapon. But it's not the reason I would ever pick the weapon up. That's a really good modifier for that one. For the heavy crossbow there. You can get a lot of damage out of that. I've already done the one-shot the Watcher, so yeah, no more issues with that. That's just another thing I wanted to check off the list of things to accomplish in Dead Cells, one-shotting both of the bosses. Alright. So this is going to be a pretty straightforward run, I'd say. I don't think there's going to be any sort of weirdo gimmickry in here. Even with the whole wrenching deal, it's not like it does anything so much different than usual. Also, another comparison with the Impaler, I just said during that run that like giving the wrenching ability in the reverse direction with that would be a bit more like interesting. I think would be a bit more worthwhile, especially because that would make it so that you could hit dudes into walls easier. And that's like the one big issue with the weapon, I'd say. You can't really push enemies enough to be able to get them into proper locations. Obviously, this doesn't even have a critical, it's just 404 damage, not found. Nothing even really to say about that. Nah, this is a bit similar to the Balance Blade run, where it's like, it's just a good weapon. There you go. That's a fun boot. Yeah, you see when you get 2 times damage, the spiked boot, that's the only time the spiked boot matches up to the wrenching whip in DPS. Ah, good stuff. I mean, granted, that does have a really useful critical along with it, so, you know, it's not an exact comparison. Ah, whatever. Definitely, I think the wrenching ability is interesting, and really, they did use it significantly better in a completely, well, not even an item, a skill. The grappling hook is fantastic for pulling enemies towards you. Or, conversely, there's the phaser, which you actually just saw a second ago behind one of the golden doors there. That gets you closer to the enemies. I mean, it's all about, like, having a better position. And you'd think that that would allegedly be, like, what the wrenching whip is used for, but it's just not. I don't know. I guess when you're trying to design weapons for this game, you're thinking, like, I want this weapon to do a specific thing. I want it to fill a specific niche. Because there are plenty of weapons that are just good weapons. There are plenty of weapons like the Balance Blade. There's plenty of weapons like the Twin Daggers. There's plenty of weapons like... I'm trying to think, like, what's just a good bread and butter weapon? Twin Blag and Balance Blagger are pretty much like the two... nice. I need some health right now. Those are like the two just, like, good weapons. Just for doing weapony weapon stuff. I'm sure there are more, but I'm kind of blanking on it right now. Whatever. This doesn't need to be an entire episode of me just trying to think of things. You know, it's just a regular chest, it's not a cursed one. I'm definitely going to be going for max gain because, it's just so easy to kill tons and tons of enemies at one time. Especially compared to, like, my last Electric Whip episode where that only targets a single dude. This has no issues targeting many a character at the same time. Making it way easier to kill tons of enemies at a time here. In fact, look at that. That was like a quad kill there. I'm going to be able to get Wrecker status pretty soon here. Or Headhunter. And regardless, it is a mega kill. And also, you do get the great bonus of being able to still hit through... That's the whole thing. It's like, the whip definitely has its place. I mean, for God's sake, I just put up a video of me one-shotting the Watcher. Took like 120,000 damage, I think, to be able to do it. Boy, that dude's got a lot of health. But I did it. But, you know, other than that, it's like, great for killing bosses, not too amazing for just about anything else. That's the Valmont's whip in a nutshell. And that's a little disappointing. So to get, like, a just good whip is great. Like, I'm down with that. And as per usual, when it comes to, like, movement-oriented things, elites take a lot less, have a lot less chance to be moved compared to your average, like, other weapons. They don't get stunned, they don't get, like, knocked around a whole lot. And that's... You lose a lot of the effectiveness that this weapon allegedly has. Now, what they really should have did was, instead of making the wrenching whip, just make a wrench. I want to beat dudes about the head with a wrench. That'd be fun. 2 bonus jumps in the air? Yeah, whatever, I can lose 5%. That whole damage reduction, it's like, just getting like a single +1 health instead of that would be so much better in, like, just about every single case. That it's always kind of disappointing that, you know, like, that's there instead of, like, enemies that touch you are frozen, or the invisibility, or poison enemies that hurt you. All things that really are just incredibly powerful, amazing stuff to be able to behold. And then you got, like, reduce damage by 10%. It's like, well, great. If I get hit 10 times by a single attack, I'll be able to have one of those nullified. That's totally worth, you know, like, using that instead of... That's totally worth the equipment spot there. I mean, it usually is, because what else are you using it on, you know? Oh, that speed is just so good, and that range is amazing, and oh, it's... Like, the hitbox seems to be, like... Aside from when I'm getting weirdly hooked up on ledges there, the hitbox is just so much better even compared to the whip. Of course, the whip's whole thing is that you're supposed to be getting the very edge of the hitbox to be able to get maximum damage. That... Of course, that rarely ever happens unless you're either super good at the game or super lucky at the game. That was kind of weird. Yeah, I've canvassed this area pretty well. Nothing else doing here. Oh. Pretty much incomplete one here is the only, I would say, bad character with this, because, like I said, what you do is you wrench the incomplete one towards you when he's got his damage field out, or to be able to punch you in the face, or, you know, anything. It's like, the incomplete one you want to stay close to, but you also kind of don't. Especially if you're kind of new at the game, and you don't have, like, the timings engraved into your mind. I mean, obviously, I don't really have that issue. Don't cancel out your roll into it. There it is. That's what happens. Whatever. I think I can take a couple hits now. I got plenty of health in that last floor. No, although, like, the strength is not the most maximal, like, value I've ever seen at this point in the game, it's still pretty good. Especially with this weapon, which is just, again, good overall. It's got good damage, straight up. If that was a regular whip, he'd probably be dead at this point. Of course, being just a regular old weapon, I mean, I always prefer the weirdo gimmick weapons that have you play the game in an entirely separate way. So, you know, as much as I like this weapon, it's just like, ain't too much to be said about it. But, you know, in some way, that's nice. Just getting a good weapon is great, too. I said that in the Balance Blade run, I'll continue to say that here. Now, especially in these later areas where the enemies start to get more and more densely packed together. Although, I suppose you did see the biters in the last one. Like, and how I was just tearing through, like, 10, 12 biters at a time. But, like, yeah, the whip becomes better and better. And since it's much, much faster than the normal whip, it's still pretty good at taking out... bats as well. Yeah, I think, like, the one thing that would make this whip, like, go from, you know, just, like, a great little weapon to, like, being something that you really want to search out is if you could actually... Yes! Is if you could actually interrupt enemy attacks by, like, kind of knocking them off their feet or something. I mean, part of bringing enemies towards you is the fact that you're not bringing them away from you, and since you tend to be on, you know, stable ground, compared to something like the Spartan Sandal or something like the Shove Shield, where you can use that to push enemies off of stuff, you're generally just keeping them in harm's way of you, I guess. I don't know. I'm trying to come up with some sort of, like, interesting way to use this mechanic, and I don't know, I just can't. I guess like one of the big things you could do is you could use the wrenching whip as an opener and then follow that up with like a spiked boots kick. I think that would be a pretty effective usage of it, but like for the most... Yeah, that's better. But like for the most part, I think the only real reason that you'd want... You know, you just think about it and it's like, why do you want enemies closer to you? To be able to hit you? You have this great weapon that works very well at a range. So why do you need enemies to be closer to you with it? I just think that there might be some flaws. There's some flaws with this weapon, but they're pretty much nullified by the fact that the weapon's just good. It's an interesting juxtaposition, I suppose. But yeah, like, I'm racking my brain here. I can't even think of, like, a good scenario where you'd want to use this weapon. I guess, yeah, you just want to bring an enemy forward to be able to be... hit by, like, another weapon. Like something that might not be as good by itself, like the spiked boots. Or like, I don't know, what's a really good weapon that works well at close range? Spiked boots is the only one that I'm thinking of right now. I guess maybe like a dagger? I would just hit him. Jeez. I guess maybe like a dagger could do that, but like... Hey, speak of the devil. Oh, and that's actually a pretty good one with a plus 20% bonus to critical hits. Because you're generally hitting more critical hits than you're not because you're stun locking enemies. I don't know. Oh, a very good one, in fact. And that would be nice to get, but no. I'll do a level 1. This would be such a good combination. But no. Whatever, you can get an extra little hint to the soundtrack for the weaponsmith there. As I'm kind of thinking about, like, what I want to do here. I'm already making some pretty decent time as well. I don't know. I think the goal for this one is going to be, let's say... I think, like, in this game, appropriately overpowered is what you get to when you're about at, like, 10 strength. And I think, like, a good amount of health to have is when you get about, like, the 700 health, which I'd say is, like, 6 health with you. So that's usually like the goals you're looking for in at least these challenge runs. If you're not doing a challenge run, you can do it with pretty much like anything above what, like 4 or so. I could easily beat like the final boss if I got a decently leveled weapon with like 4 strength, I'd say. I mean, come on, I've gotten super close with it's just like the polar opposite of my last run. These amazing drops. Making me feel real good. Alright, already hitting up the graveyard. You know, I'm thinking about it. I may not even need to do a full clear. Maybe I'll just kind of rush through this one. Make it a little short episode. Hey, a good weapon deserves a good run. Also, this weapon draws from pirate captains. Why? You'd think the pirate captains would drop, you know, like a cannon. Maybe it could be, you know what, maybe it could be like the Bloodborne cannon, just something that fires incredibly slowly but does huge damage. I guess that's just the heavy crossbow, isn't it? Maybe it's like it's an empty cannon and you just use it as like a big mace. You know, sort of like you get the permanent... You get like the permanent overhead swing of the... You get like the permanent overhead swing of the broadsword with something like that. Or maybe it does like, no, that's kind of the Nutcracker again. God, there are a lot of weapons in this game. That's why I did them all. Well, I'm doing them all. By the way, this is, what? After this is only 3 weapons that remain. 3 kind of special weapons, I think. And I will give them special episodes. Well, not the rapier. Rapier is just going to be a good run, hopefully. That's at least what I want out of it. But the other 2, I don't know. I'm going to do something with. Alright. This is probably the area where the key is. Also, there's, very close to my... That could have easily been a death. Very close to my, goal for... Alright. Oh, good Aura of Laceration, too. Man, I like the Aura of Laceration. Mostly because it is a skill that syncs very well with strength runs, so... Of course I like it. Because I build strength, baby. That's the only way to play the game. 100% strength mode. I'm not going to dexterity or, God forbid, magic build. I'm not going to hit up pyromancy. What is that garbage? What is that cheating garbage? I'm just gonna spam my fireballs and my inner power. What is that move called? Oh no, I'm already forgetting it. Too much of my brain is being dedicated to Dead Cells right now. I can't remember the name of it. Alright. No. Melee weapons all day, every day, baby. I mean, melee weapons are also just really good in these games, in this particular game, too. No, I think they've done a really good job kind of balancing everything without, like, forcing you to go full-on, like, weirdo builds or, like, extremely... I mean, hey, that's one of the entire things with these runs, is the oh my god, so much strength! I love it! And that's one of the things with these runs, is that I'm here to do builds with just about everything. Although allegedly this is supposed to be like a series of challenge runs, the only thing that's really challenging is when you're using like a level 1 weapon. I mean, most of these weapons are totally fine on their own. Like, you can definitely, I would say, like, even new dudes could do some really great runs with any weapon, even ones that I thought that weren't very good at the start. Like your broadsword, like your spiked boots. It's like, no, all of these are great. All these are great. I love everything. 2 thumbs up for every weapon in the game. Did a good job, Motion Twin. I don't know if things are exactly balanced. There still may be some oddities here and there, but I feel like everything fulfills a niche pretty well. Of course, that also could just be since I've played this game for long enough that I'm just good enough at using everything that it doesn't really matter if I'm given just like explicit garbage weaponry or whatever. Let's finish this up. Yeah, this is a really good, this is a real feel-good episode, I'd say. I'm liking this a lot so far. It's no surprise. I mean, I've said before, Wrenching Whip is just a great weapon. It's one of my favorites. Good one to use. I don't think the Watcher is actually affected by the whole wrenching mechanic of this whole thing. He is affected by, like, the grappling hook. But, like, just about anything else he tends not to be, so... I don't know. First phase already. That's cool. Yeah, that's good enough. It's just, yeah, like, even compared to the original whip, the original whip, I mean, obviously just has great critical damage, not so great just about anything else. So, of course, it's just like, to see that this has really great even just base damage is good. Just like, alright. Oh, missed it. Now I have the 75% reduction on, so I should be okay. So I should be okay with getting hit by projectiles. I'm mostly worried about the... Yeah, that should do it. What? Hey, come on. A little bit more range. That's all I need. Okay. And one more. Yep, great. One tentacle's nothing to deal with. Now, tentacle phase is really the only issue that might come up with this particular run here. Because that's where the real damage comes in. If I don't have a 75% damage reduction, then it's the bullet hell pattern that I'm probably most worried about. But without that, it's not too bad. Do it. I like that the whip sound plays out. Still don't have that timing perfect. Come on. I like that the whip sound plays out even if you actually cancel out the animation. Oh, bullet hell. Yep. Okay, it's gotta be like after X amount of moves that he uses that, because I'm getting too good at predicting this. I got like 3 quick, there you go. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Get that 3-hit combo there. Ayo. Sweeping tentacles are dangerous, but not on the first phase. Nice. Oh, yeah, give me the freaking delay there. Stop it. Stop doing that. This is my good run. Damn straight. Damn Skippy. Yeah, whatever, that's enough. You know, I'm just gonna tank it. Oh no, here comes a bullet hell right after this. I can feel it. The Great Emerald's power allows me to feel. Damn it. I can feel it in my feet. Oh, that's like one hit left, dude. My dude Meister. Don't even. Come on. There we are. Oh, just another great run. I love you, Dead Cells. I'm going to be sad when this series is over. Alright, thanks for watching.